Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Office Hours. We are excited to be here in a pre-holiday edition. We have the amazing Blaine Bartlett with me and my partner, BlaineBartlett.com, my mentor and my friend. Happy holidays, Blaine.
Hey, thanks, buddy. How you doing?
I'm doing amazing. Cannot ask for better. And including our first guest here, right on time, Tomer Rabinovich is here, CEO of Topdog and the author of an industry of business that I'm so interested in. As you know, my wife has been an Amazon seller since the inception of Amazon, riding the Amazon wave, the Pro Seller's Guide to Private Label Success. And so many millionaires have been made with the private label aspect of Amazon. I had to have Tomer in here because, as I know from private sellers, if it was easy, everybody would do it. So I'm glad that somebody's out there writing the book to help making it easier to deal with the Amazon, the Goliath of Amazon. Welcome, Tomer, and happy holidays.
Hi, David. Hi, Blaine. Very happy to be here.
Great. When I think of Amazon selling success, I think of situational knowledge. It's nothing more than being able to leverage situational knowledge, someone that's paid the dummy tax, and somebody just can jump onto Amazon without any situational knowledge and think that they're going to be successful, especially in the private labeling part of the business. So I want to start right with the situational knowledge in your book. What are some of those dummy taxes that you've paid along the way in order to help facilitate people to learn how to make millions on Amazon?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I would say the first thing, one of the mistakes that I made in the first product that I launched, I invested heavily in the product design and product development and really making sure I have a better product than what's out there already. And in the next few products I launched, I really, I didn't take as much, I didn't do as much. So what I mean by that is I didn't put as much effort into those next few products. So what happened is those products didn't work out at the end of the day. And I think what you need to understand is when you launch a product, you really need to give it everything you got, and you want to make sure it's a really good product before it goes out to market. And a lot of sellers think they can take something off the shelf, just put a label on it, sell it on Amazon, and it's going to work out and going to make millions. But the truth is, you really need to have a better product, a superior product to everything else that's already out there. And you can't just bring something and hope for the best.
So that raises actually an interesting question. How do you select the product? I mean, I'm going to go right back to the basic here.
Yeah, that's a great question. So the way you select the product on Amazon is a search engine, right? It's like Google. People now search for products on Amazon before they go to Google. So if someone is not searching for it, Amazon is not the best platform to launch that specific product. Let's say you have a new innovation that doesn't exist, right, anywhere in the world. Amazon is not the place to launch that product. So Amazon is all about supply and demand. You want to find a product that has a lot of demand, but not enough supply or no supply at all, right? So if someone is searching for, let's say a yoga ball for pregnant women, for example, which is a keyword on Amazon, then you will see in the results, you will see some pregnant women sitting on a yoga ball, right? Because yoga ball is such a saturated niche by now that you have all of these sub niches popping out all the time. So you have yoga balls for kids, and you have yoga balls for pregnant women, and you have a whole bunch of different things and different sub niches that you can tap into, instead of trying to launch, let's say, another yoga ball for $10. And it's probably not a good idea, because that is overly saturated and has a lot more supply than actual demand.
And Tomer, one of the things, yeah, it is. But one of the things that's so interesting is you have so many workshops, but they really are driven to build community, and you leverage not only your situational knowledge, but the power of community. And I think that brings a great value to your knowledge base, but also to the value that you provide from the workshops and other things that you do, which you call the ultimate private label Amazon community. How important is community in working with Amazon?
Yeah, so I think we're all entrepreneurs here, and I think being an entrepreneur is a very lonely road if you choose it to be. People living around you usually don't understand exactly what it is that you're doing, and you need to surround yourself with like-minded people. So I initially started with small masterminds and things like that for selfish reasons, obviously, to help my own business. But I realized this is how you get fulfilled. You get fulfilled by helping other people. I always say that if you want to be happy, you need to help yourself. But if you want to be fulfilled, you need to help other people. So that's what I realized along my own journey as an entrepreneur. And I really think that having the right people around you, people that were already successful, maybe are 1-2 years ahead of you, is a huge advantage over your competition. And I really think that it's also a lot more fun to do this journey together instead of doing it alone.
The idea of mentorship is an interesting one to explore here. David and I both, live in this space in some very significant ways, I think. For you, I mean, you're kind of pioneer in this area. So when you're looking to find somebody, that has gone ahead of you, what has been, number one, the biggest challenge in that, outside of just recognizing that there's not a whole lot of the that are in front of you? But secondly, what's the criteria that you're using to say this one for now?
Great question. So I think it changed over time for me. I think it started with who is making the most money in the industry. I want to follow that guy. But then I thought, well, I'm a family man. Then I want to follow like other family people, that made it through and maybe traveled with their family, which is what I wanted. I'm currently in Thailand with my wife and kids. So I wanted the entire package, right? I wanted the lifestyle and I wanted the business side and personal side. And I think that's a lot of the times what you're looking when you're looking for a mentor or a coach or someone that you can relate to, right? Someone that hopefully can see themselves a few years ago. So I think for me, that changed over time. I think, again, when you first start out, you just want to like get the guy that made a lot of money and follow their route, and you think the same thing will happen to you. But I think on the other side, from the mentor side, I think you really want someone that wants to help you, and also is a bit unselfish and in their hopes to help you as well.
Great.
And looking towards the future with Amazon, a lot of people feel like it's too late. I'm somebody that it'll be 7 years this Super Bowl when Gary Vaynerchuk suggested I switch my radio show into a podcast that told him there's too many podcasts and I was too late to the game because there's 200,000 podcasts at that time. Now over 3 million podcasts later, I still encourage people to get started. Is it too late to get started on Amazon?
Yeah, so when I started in 2015, people told me it was too late, and I'm sure the same thing happened to Gary Vee when he started his podcast. So I think people will always say that, but what I tell people that think about starting on Amazon, I tell them, look, it's not a side hustle, it's a real business, and you need to treat it as such. It cannot be done on the side. It's not like buying a house and renovating it and selling it and flipping, or it's a real business. So that's the first thing I tell them. I tell them, if you like your day, keep it. Probably starting a business on Amazon is not the best idea, So what I also opportunity in the marketplace. What I mean by that is, if you look at, let's say, the Ford car, so that was only black to begin with. Now you have sports cars, and you have pickup trucks, and you have buses, and you have all of the different kinds of cars, right, for any type of ideal customer. So same thing with Amazon, and because everything is becoming so niche down, it's very easy to target people with ads and on social media, and everything is so easy. That's why there are always going to be more and more sub niches you can go into. I've seen so many crazy brands launched on Amazon for a very small niche, making millions of dollars a year, just by going like directly to the customer. And I think you see probably that in a lot of different industries these days.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Tomar. We appreciate you. We have so many other places to put you. There's so much interest in Amazon, and there's so much difficulty in dealing with Amazon. The fastest and easiest way to get to where you want to be is find someone that's already there and ask them for directions. And you give not only your own directions, but a community full of successful people giving directions to get people to where they want to be or better. Start with a book. It's Ride the Amazon Wave. It's never too late. The Pro Seller's Guide to Private Label Success. There's millions to be made and freedom along with it. As me and my family have been involved in Amazon selling for years and years since its inception. It's changed our lives. As Blaine Bartlett has changed my life. Tomer promised us she'll come back. Check out jointopdog.com. Check out Ride the Amazon Wave. We appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys. And David, I'm a big fan, so thank you again for having me. Thank you, guys.
Great job. Keep helping people. Happy holidays. All right, with a minute to spare, Raluca was worried that we wouldn't run till 6:14. So, Blaine, why is it that people always say it's too late? Right? It's just what within the context of human nature or perspective is it that people tend to lean toward can't do it because it's too late?
Yep. Yeah, I broke up there just a little bit, David. Say that one more time.
Oh, I was wondering why do people do that? What when people are looking to start something, most people will tell you don't do that because it's too late.
No. I saw something the other day that may be an answer to that question. When you watch a great athlete, people go, well, that's not something I could do. Or if you've got somebody that says, I want to do that. Somebody says, I want to do that. Other people that don't have that same interest, other people that don't have that same desire, and it comes down to desire, say, well, that's probably not something you should do. And then they will give you the justification, reasons, rationale for why they think you shouldn't do it. Those reasons, rationale, everything else doesn't, they don't come into your consciousness when you're thinking of what it is that you'd like to do. So I literally will come back to my old saw here. There's nothing out there but me, and there's nothing out there but consciousness. Consciousness is the first cause. So I don't want to pay attention to the external world to an inordinate degree to determine where I want to go in my life, because the current reality is just a snapshot in time, and it's an aggregation of a whole lot of combined consciousnesses. When I want to go someplace, it's my consciousness is going to get me there, and it's my heart that's going to get me there. It's my heart that's going to allow me to overcome the obstacles. Yeah, it may be a crowded podcast marketplace, but if I want to do a great podcast, who knows? This thing can shine. Yeah. And all of a sudden, you end up in what I think yours, Playbook is one of the top 5 in the world, right? So I mean, you just kind of pop out there, and there you are.
Exactly. Yeah, we've done 1,700 episodes. You stay consistent, but it's interesting too. I want to suggest people under the context of what Blaine's talking about. This consciousness is you want to ask the consciousness that's already doing it. One of the things that I've seen is that if you address a consciousness that isn't doing something, they tend to let you know why they're not doing it, and they share that idea with you. Where when you find people, Tomer, and you ask him, who's in the consciousness of successful Amazon selling, hey, should I get started? Usually, unless it's a bad idea, they say, yeah, you should get started. And let me help you get there. Anyway, talking about a consciousness, I got one of our favorite friends in the holiday season here, right from Manhattan. Everybody knows Craig Siegel, the Ego, the reinvention, sitting right behind him. If you haven't bought the book, you should read it. Now, Craig, welcome and happy holidays. Welcome to the family as well. We always like to get my 2 favorite people together here.
Happy holidays, boys. No place I'd rather be. Thank you for having me. Let's have some fun.
Hey.
All right. We like your attitude. Well, this idea of reinventing, and I'm going to really love when Blaine delves into reinventing. I love an expansive perspective on things, and this idea of evolution, not revolution. In what context, as far as the spectrum of change, when you discuss reinvention formula, is it a reinvention from 0 to 1, or is it a reinvention from 1 to 100?
What a beautiful question. I think there's a big misconception. I think when people hear reinvention, it could be a little scary because like, wait a minute, I'm too old, or it's too late, or now I have to start over. So two things that come to mind. Number one, you're never really starting over because you're taking all the lessons, the skill sets, the experiences with you, and you're applying them to a new endeavor, which gives you an advantage. But also when I think of reinvention, Dave, you talk a lot about how it's basically a buffet of abundance out there, and we have a plate. And what we need to do is find out what's interfering with filling up our plate and calling everything in. So when I think of reinvention, I think of finally arriving at ourselves, our true authentic self. I lived inauthentically for so long. I was trying to be something I wasn't. I was following in the footsteps of other people's expectations. And quite frankly, I don't even know whose expectations. I created this persona of who I thought I was supposed to be. But when I reinvented myself, I finally let all that BS go. And I just arrived at me, my true, weird, strange, authentic self. And I knew that wasn't going to resonate with everybody. But at least if I failed, I'd failed being myself. And ironically, the universe liked that bold move. And for the first time in my life, I got into alignment. And that's when the real expansion happened. So I want to challenge people to think about reinvention as finally arriving at yourself.
The idea of authenticity comes into play there, Craig, and I love just witnessing your journey on this. With the idea of authenticity, it's what I'm left with when I stop trying to manage your expectations of me. As soon as I give that game up, now I get to do something. Yes. And, we're coming into the new year, so everybody's going to be making their resolutions because they want to reinvent themselves in 2024 in some way, shape, or form. And I started playing with that. Actually, yesterday I was writing a little thing about it. And the idea of a resolution, when you take the Oxford Dictionary and you define the term, it's basically a promise. A resolution is a promise. Yeah. And what's interesting is it's a promise to myself. It's an agreement I make with myself to do X. That's at the end of some point in time. Now, what's interesting around that resolution is about 90% of them are abandoned in the first 2 months of the year when we look at New Year's resolutions. So there's a difference between a resolution and a goal. And a goal, if we're really paying attention, goals don't exist out there somewhere. Goals live in here, and then they're produced as a consequence of this coming to life and manifesting itself in some space or time. Goals live in here. A promise to myself is about doing. It's about a doingness, and there's a very subtle distinction that is powerful when you can start paying attention to what that distinction is. You did not make a promise to yourself to be different. You had a goal, and this is just kind of my take on it, but the goal, there's something inside me that wants to birth. There's something inside me that wants to say, hey, I'm here and I'm coming out. That's the distinction between just setting a New Year's resolution as a pro forma sort of a thing, because society says I'm supposed to lose 10 pounds. So I resolved to lose 10 pounds this year. Screw it. No. What wants to come out? What's the goal? What's that objective? What's this new year want to birth?
Yes.
That's what I want to pay attention to. And then the for the sake of what comes into play around that. So this notion of reinvention is really, for me, absolutely tied into the fact that nature always looks for expansion and expression. And it's not looking to expand and express out there. It's looking to expand and express in here. I want to tap into what that is.
Yes, beautifully said. And it's interesting. You make up a great point there that most people fail or don't hit their New Year's resolutions within the first 2 weeks of January. Why do you think that is, Dave?
Well, I think understanding the conscious continuum, is an inhibitor to us being consistent. And so I I've been playing with the concept of not only human nature or human capability doesn't understand or know outcomes or results, but it also doesn't understand or know consequences. And human nature is a consequence-driven being. And so the farther removed we are from consequences, the greater the distance from our behavior to consequences, the more likelihood we're going to quit. And that's because good behavior creates good progress, not good consequences. Bad behavior creates bad progress, not bad consequences immediately, I'm saying. And so in order to facilitate shortening the distance between behavior and consequences, we have to have two things: wisdom and faith. Wisdom can be through experience of ourselves or others, and that can be derived from podcasts and books and mentorship, like Blaine Bartlett. He's one of the most experienced people I know. So I reach out to people for their wisdom to help shorten the distance between my good behavior and the consequences. But it also requires one other thing, and it's not religious or spiritual, theoretical, or philosophical in one degree. It's just simply faith. I think when we have the access to wisdom like we do today, we have to combine it with faith that good behavior creates good consequences, good results, and good outcomes. Bad behavior creates bad consequences, bad results, and bad outcomes. And so it takes a very short amount of time, if we don't try to seek wisdom and have faith, to quit good behavior and to continue bad behavior because of the relationship between behavior and consequences. And that's why I think within the context of conscious continuum of the conscious feeds the 40,000 of the same thoughts. But this is really important, Craig. And I know I've shared a tiny bit of this with you when I mentor you. And it's really an epiphany for me. I've always known that the subconscious contains 40,000 of the same thought. But recently, I've learned through research that of the 40,000 of the same thoughts of the average human being, 80% of those thoughts, which are indicated by activity, words, beliefs, and feelings, they're negative. And one thing that I knew about the 40,000 of the same thoughts is that the 90% or more of my 40,000 subconscious thoughts have formed neural pathways already, which means they're repetitive. Yep. So think about the resistant monster that we've created via our subconscious, and then what monster feeds our unconscious, what monster feeds the unconscious continuum of our genetic and energetic inheritance that speaks to the epigenetic layer of who we, as our essence, our authenticity, who we truly are. It's that monster of the subconscious that's speaking repetitively, 80% negatively, to our genetic and our energetic being, which not only creates our own legacy, but it's our children and our grandchildren that are going to inherit that from us. And so when we can stop this chain by understanding the distance between behavior and consequence, by utilizing wisdom and faith, we can facilitate an extraordinary amount of acceleration, aggregation, and beautifully compounding exponentially the good behavior, because of the good stuff does the same thing. It's repetitive and it's speaking to our epigenetic layer.
So I imagine there's someone listening right now that's like, okay, so if 80% of the 40,000 thoughts of my subconscious are telling me the wrong thing, how do I make them say something that's empowering for us?
Yeah.
Blaine.
Yeah. Well, the idea that tomorrow's expressions, what I see tomorrow, are determined by today's impressions. Tomorrow's expressions are determined by today's impressions. And what David's talking about is that continual subliminal impressing on my consciousness, my subconsciousness. And it's that impressing that creates the neural pathways. So this kind of goes back to the whole question of reinvention again. I don't think about, what will tomorrow look like? What wants to be expressed today that is consistent with the dream that I see myself being? All I am is an idea. All I am is an idea. Now, I'm the one that gives form to that idea. And I look at what's going on around me, and my idea is being expressed continuously. The idea of Blaine Bartlett, the idea of Craig Siegel, the idea of David Meltzer is continuously being expressed in real time. So where do I go? I start to just start paying attention. That's the key here. Awareness is magical. Imagine the use of imagination coupled with awareness. First of all, I want to notice what I'm noticing. Energy follows attention. So most people don't have a bloody friggin' clue where their attention is being drawn. They don't have a clue. A squirrel, and then all of a sudden there's a little piece of them that goes running off to follow that squirrel. That's that part of that 40,000. I mean, this stuff is deep embedded. So I want to start paying attention and then impressing. This is where the use of vision boards and all of these other things start to come into play here, but it's not something, those are external. It's the internal conversation. That's the internal dialogue that I have with myself at 3:00 in the morning. And like David said, a lot of that is negative, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, you're not good enough. You're never going to make it. Oh, God, what will people think? It's kind of like, oh, God, what will I have to give up? I won't have any money if I do that. Yeah, it's all bullshit. Yeah, it's all bullshit. Yeah, what we have are ideas. We play with ideas, and the imagination is the catalyst for everything. Yeah, in my mastermind groups, I'll talk about, and I will do this at just about every session. Imagination lives at the threshold of the spirit, the threshold of the spirit. So I use my imagination to tap into what is the spirit, what's what's the soul want to express, and I start impressing that. The imagination. I use the imagination, and that's the power of this. Is this notion of being an idea? It's not reified. Who do I get to be when I stop managing my, what I think you want to think about me? Yeah, that starts to gel all kinds of other things.
That was unbelievable. Can you just talk? I just want to write that down. Imagination is at the threshold of what?
Spirit or soul.
Spirit.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. The only thing I want to add is that's why it's so important to surround yourself with the right people and the right ideas. Because if we're conditioned already to have this great monster fighting us internally, we don't want to feed that monster externally with the wrong people and the wrong ideas that are feeding into the 80% of the negativity that we're inherently carrying forward from a genetic and energetic inheritance. And so if you are, and I would say the people ask me, well, how did you make back all your money? How did you change your life? How did you reinvent yourself? And it was being completely disciplined about the energy that I surrounded myself with, the people, the places, the things, the circumstances, the events, and that I shorten the amount of time. I call it a minutes and moments strategy with negativity, whether it's internal negativity or external negativity. I utilize time as my dependent variable, which is why I study time, to shorten the amount of time that I spend in negativity, whether it be people, ideas, activities, events, and situations.
Yeah, this was unbelievable. Perfect conversation at the perfect time.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Divine timing and divine Siegel, the eagle, the reinvention formula. If you want to get more insight on how to reinvent yourself, Manhattan's finest. Have a happy holiday. I'm sure we'll speak soon. Everybody follow Craig Siegel. And oh, by the way, check us out. 145 straight weeks. The paradigm shift on IG with Craig Siegel and I. We've had extraordinary guests and great conversations. I'm not sure if Blaine's been on the paradigm shift yet.
No.
Oh, Craig, you got to get your team to reach out. Nobody drops bigger bombs than Blaine Bartlett. That's the big bomb, BlaineBartlett.com. Check him out. He's changed my life and changed yours.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a great guest to land the plane on the year this Saturday. Love you both. Thank you, guys. This was awesome.
Thanks, Craig.
Good to see you guys.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Yeah.
Hey, buddy.
So I think Craig would have paid for that session. He loved it. I can tell. There's some big bombs and big nuggets. If I was looking down, Blaine, it was just because I was texting myself some ideas to go research and to be more interested with. But real quick, at the end of the year here, obviously you're a very special person to me. What's your takeaway for the day or the year?
The two things. One is just how much our relationship means to me. The fact that and I say this with all due humility. I believe I wouldn't miss today's show. I've been wrestling with COVID for a week. Literally for a week. It pisses me off. It's kind of, what's going on with this stuff? Knock it off. And it knocked out the Christmas celebrations with the family. So didn't get to go see the kids. Didn't go to see Cynthia's parents or her dad. And it's kind of like, okay, I've got a 6 o'clock show. I'm gonna be here with this one. So what that says to me is how much this conversation, and relationships live in conversation. And I think that's one of the big takeaways for this year, is the way that we've and I say we, you and I, particularly on Thursdays, have kept this conversation going, and we've brought some incredible relationships to the table for people to actually witness and take away from. So I want to just acknowledge you for the consistency in making sure that this does not slip. Because you're all over the planet, as am I in a lot of ways, but you far more so than I today. But we don't miss. We just don't miss. And
I love it.
all of a sudden I get something from Luca says, the show's at 6 a.m. instead of 3 p.m. I say, okay, we can make that happen. So that's the takeaway, just the relationship quality and the power of relationship.
Yeah, relationship exists in conversations, and we are consistent with our conversation. And gratitude, obviously, for me is so important, and forgiveness along with that. But I did want to give a big shout out under that context of you showing up with your cold, and it is important for me. And it's if one of us doesn't show, the disappointment is in one of us not showing. It's in not being a part of the conversation and missing out on the conversation. But it's so interesting that Raluca, when I asked her, I said, look, it's easier for me on vacation with my family to do this when they're sleeping, but I know it's also your vacation time. Is it okay? And this conversation is so important. Her shows up at 4 a.m., at 5 a.m., at 6 a.m. As well. And Gigi, who, is here, from Europe, and sometimes it's the middle of the night, 2 a.m. But I know how valuable conversation is to those two as well. And I know Craig is going to go back and watch this and take notes, because I'm going to do the same. But my takeaway for the year, I'll start with, and then finish with the episode. I'll do the episode first. You gave me my takeaway, which is rare, because I usually try to take it from the guests. But it's today's impressions are tomorrow's expressions. That says a lot, and that needs some unraveling and revealing for me to do some research as well. Imagination is the catalyst for everything is my second one in there. The year is that forgiveness, is there's a greater collective awareness to atrocity. They always exist because human nature. I said man has been killing babies almost since they've come to Earth. And, so that shows a tragic flaw in human nature. Because that is unforgivable, I have really spent a lot of time to understand the relationship between gratitude and forgiveness. And what I've come up with is my takeaway for the year, which is forgiveness is the reflection of love.
Yeah, I like that.
And so
I like that.
That's the one for me. And as much as I love all of you and grateful, I hold forgiveness in my heart for all of us being human beings.
Blessings, my friend.
I love you, Blaine. I'm choking up. Thank you. The amazing Blaine Bartlett. If you wonder where I get good stuff, it's from Blaine Bartlett. And I appreciate him feeding me genius, which is the expression of God. And if you realize that today's impressions by Blaine Bartlett will be the expression of God tomorrow. And we will hear and be here tomorrow at Edgerrin for over 24 years. It'll be my 25th end of the year training. Email me, david@dmeltzer.com, if you'd like my book or guide or anything, david@dmeltzer.com. If you want to know where we're going to be in Las Vegas at the beginning of the year, January 9th. We have a mastermind. You're welcome to join CS Mastermind in a VIP conversation with myself and the cook on the 9th. And Mastermind is the 9th and the 10th. We also will be in Miami, in Boca, Orlando, Atlanta, and Nashville this month. And just text me. We'll be in 200 cities this year. 949-298-2905. 200 cities around the world. 949-298-2905. Get your alerts on where we're going to be. Meetups, masterminds, dinners. We have our Q&As for the day. We have our office hours, 2-minute drill TV shows. We have the podcast, the playbook. We have office hours here 3 days a week as well. IG Live every day, time shift. We have a show with Mike Tannenbaum, Executive Football Talk. We have Game Set Life with Rick Macy. We are providing as much content as we can to elevate and to accelerate where you want to be or better. Most importantly, I want to finish with be more interested than interesting. Be kind. Be kind to your future self and do good deeds. See you tomorrow. Love you.